Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
So the first question is, why is friction important? Explain with the help of examples. So let us move on to the examples. Basically, holding a glass with oil on its surface is very difficult because the oil reduces the contact between the two surfaces, which are the hand and the glass, which ultimately leads to the reduction of friction. Then walking on wet marble floor is difficult. Walking will not be possible at all if friction is not there, and writing with a chalk or a pen. So there are certain activities such as if an object started moving, it would never stop because there would be no friction. Without friction between the tires of the automobiles and the road, they could not be started or stopped or turned to change the direction of motion. You could not fix a nail on the wall. Without friction, no building could be constructed. So these are the important things about friction. Then, is friction always helpful? No. Friction sometimes creates issues as well, such as it wears out the materials, screws, ball bearings or soles of the shoes. Basically, it wears out the materials. They do not stay in the good condition. They get weared out. Worn out steps of foot over bridges at railway stations are a good example for this. Right? Now, friction can also produce heat. Whenever you rub both your hands, due to the friction, heat is produced. So, due to that heat, many things can be turned bad. So, basically, the jar of a mixer becomes hot due to the friction only. Alright? The jar of a mixer becomes hot after being used for a long time. Why? This is because of friction only. This is a drawback of friction, that when a jar of mixer works for a longer time, there is friction between the parts of the mixer, due to which heat is produced, and hence the jar of the mixer becomes hot. Right? We increase the friction in some situations. Explain any two of them. So the first one being the soles of our shoes. They have certain design or irregularity on their surface so as to increase the friction, so as to increase the interlocking between the irregularities on the surface of our shoe and the surface of the ground. So we increase the friction by making irregular soles. Second is the tires, right? We have tires which have some irregular surface, due to which they have a good hold on the ground and the vehicle does not fall. So this is how we increase friction in some situations. Then when does friction become undesirable? Explain with the help of an example. Now these are some examples. While playing carom board, you sprinkle fine powder to increase the movement of the, basically you make your game better by sprinkling fine powder. When a few drops of oil are poured into the hinges of a door, the door moves smoothly. So here also friction is reduced by applying oil. Then a bicycle and a motor mechanic uses grease between the moving parts of these machines to reduce friction only. So these are some examples in which friction is reduced. Because if it is not reduced, the door will not work properly and the machine parts will also not work properly. Next question, what are lubricants? How are they useful? So students, let us study what lubricants are. The substances which reduce friction are called lubricants. In some machines, an air cushion between the moving parts is used to reduce friction. The lubricants can also be oils, right? And powder in the case of carom board, that powder acts as a lubricant. So the substances which are used to reduce friction are called lubricants. Alright. Now oil, grease or graphite is applied between the moving parts of a machine. Why? These are applied to the moving parts of a machine to reduce friction. Alright, so these are applied in the moving parts of a machine to reduce friction, and we have already explained that in detail in the lecture, so you can watch the lecture for details. How do wheels reduce friction? So students, for wheels, first of all, rolling friction comes into action. That when one body rolls over the surface of another body, the resistance to its motion is called rolling friction. As you can look at the picture, basically in rolling reduces friction. It is always easier to roll the body than to slide a body over another, right? That is why it is easier to pull luggage fitted with rollers. Now this happens because during sliding, the irregularities still are in contact, right? Both the surfaces, one surface is constantly present. While in rolling friction, the contact surface keeps on changing, and hence the time for irregularities to get locked into each other is further reduced. So rolling friction is much lesser than sliding friction as well. Second question, what is rolling friction? As we just talked, when a body rolls over the surface of another body, the resistance to its motion is called rolling friction. This is a 1 mark question, simply the definition. Next question, what is easier, to slide or to roll a body over another? To roll a body over another is always easier, and this is simply a 1 mark question. Basically, you have to understand that static friction is the maximum, then there is sliding friction, and rolling friction is the least of all, because rolling has the least friction that can exist, because during rolling the contact between the surface is least, and hence rolling friction is least. Now give some examples of application of rolling friction. The applications are tires, right? The applications are wheels. The applications are wheels in a luggage. All these are the applications of rolling friction. Alright.